Hi, YouTube. Welcome on back. Hey, it is Bungo Stray Dogs episode 2 analysis. Thank you to everyone that came and joined, all the new people. I hope that you all enjoyed episode 1 and you like the deep dive on like episode 1. We're about to start episode 2. And before we get started, hey, if you really liked episode 1 analysis or, straight up what we have to offer, I know some people don't like the fact that I stop, talk, and analyze everything, and it's like, you're ruining the scene. And I'm like, I know, but we're here to analyze the show, like psychologically, not necessarily here for the vibes, like it's a little struggle to balance that out. But I do want to go ahead and say, hey, if you've been liking it, please make sure to leave a like, comment, share this video around over to like the Reddit, the Tumblr communities, anywhere and everywhere out there. Really want to go ahead and grow out the community and like have awesome shows like this, right? I know that people have been telling me to like read the light novels and the manga, but unfortunately with my line of work, I don't really only have 1.5 days where I can maybe stream, and that's just like Sunday afternoons and or Friday evenings and Sunday afternoons. Like it is wild. Exactly. This is not just a reaction, it's a deep analysis of the show or the characters and sort of what's there. Also with that, hey guys, unfortunately I do have to throw this out there. I'm currently going through a rough financial time. I've been taking care of my brother who recently had to get a surgery, and if you live in the United States, you know how expensive that gets. And if you guys want to help out, or if you guys like the content, want to help out a little bit, of course, it's not a priority or an obligation or anything like that. Please come and help out in the Kofi. I do have a Kofi there, kofi.com/psyculturist. It would mean the absolute world. Anything, would go a long way, especially with helping out, because it got expensive really quickly. In case you don't know, randomly he lost his vision on his right eye, and he went from having near perfect vision to -400 on one eye, and he wasn't seeing at all. So they went through and they did surgery on his eye, and they put like a clear lens cap on it, and it started to go ahead and go down from -400 to like 200. So he's starting to see a little bit better, and it's getting a little bit healthier in that manner. If you can't donate, don't worry about it. Like, it is not a expectation or anything like that. But if anything, if you can leave a like, comment, and share this around, that would more than go above and beyond for that. I appreciate each and every single one of you, and I hope that all of you have been doing something for some self-care, in general. With that being said, chat, are you ready? Are you ready? Okay, well, before... I know, yes. Hold on. Yes. Yee. I'm looking at my room and I'm like, ooh, I need to clean up. Okay. This is how you know, by the way, we're doing this at like midnight, 1 in the morning, because your boy couldn't fall asleep. So he decided, you know what? My brain was thinking on a bunch of complicated issues, and I was trying to activate my superpower for them, but it got so intertwined that I just couldn't really do anything. So I was like, all right, I guess it's time to go live. Fuck it. It is what it is. So, yeah, I struggle falling asleep. I'm always thinking about different things, solutions to things, different aspects and whatnot out there. Thank you, Medbed. I want to start off by asking a very simple question that you guys might know the answer to. What are the ages of the characters that we've seen so far? Like, what is the Zai's age? Oh my god, I always forget about time zones. Yes. Like, give me if y'all can give me like approximate ages for some of these characters, that would mean the world. Especially for the three main characters that we've seen so far. I shrug. No idea. Atsushi is 18. That's what they say. Kunikida, Kuni. Kida is 22. And the Zai is 22? Huh. Oh no. That's interesting. Well, at least they're adults. I appreciate that. I'm not gonna lie to you guys. I appreciate the fact that they're all adults. Like, heck yeah. Heck yeah. But also, let me bring this up. This is Erickson's psychosocial theorems of development. Where are they, chat? And in case y'all don't know this, this for a big aspect, and I think I'm not sure if I brought this up in episode 1. I hope I did. Everyone goes through these developmental cycles, right? Unfortunately, we don't all get to meet all of these milestones, but guess what? They appear later on in life. And of course, you can end up fixing them as an adult, right? To try and get better, right? Or to try and fix that. But like at times it can be a little bit of a struggle, right? It can be a bit of a struggle, for example, if as a child you were told that your world is not safe and you felt and internalized that, and then as an adult you don't know why you don't let people in, right? Because ultimately you mistrust people and you're like, it's hard to be vulnerable, right? If you've grown up your entire life thinking that your world is not safe. Does that make sense? I hope that makes sense. But when we look at these characters, is there something that comes out to you immediately? For me, there's a couple of things. There's a lot of things actually that comes through with it. Uh, which for me, I guess if I was looking at Dazai, if we're gonna go first here, we're looking at this chat. Dazai, it's making me wonder what happened to him as a child, because ultimately the aspects of am I good or bad or how can I be good have not been showcased as him as a character, as an individual, right? I.e., it was he parentified or adultified at a young age to the point where maybe good and bad sort of blended in together and they don't fully understand that, right? Like, is that sort of an aspect where like they more than likely see a lot of gray? Hey man, I don't know, Dr. Phil, your guts. A good name. Like, where does this come in for them, right? And this is just judging from the aspect of him, the way that he interacts with others, the way that he was interacting with the sushi, the way that like he sees the world, in aspects of self harm, if we're gonna go ahead and call it that way. For the episode, I got the MC got recruited after he revealed that. Is there anything else that's important? Well, I mean, there's a couple of things with this, right? And this is let's stick on this before I answer any questions, which is ultimately for like is the Zai, and this just comes in from the aspects that I've seen, which in case you're looking at, we're looking at the early childhood all the way to even young adults, right? Am I loved and wanted aspects, right? Has he met all of these milestones? That's the main question to ask. Chat, has he met all of these milestones? See, that's how I know I like I'm either asking a good question or a really stupid question. And sometimes I look at the camera and it's not because I pooped my pants or anything like that. As funny as that comment is, it's actually because I kind of want you to think a little bit, and also because I'm more than likely processing stuff as well, you know. You doubt it? Yeah, again, I know. So more than likely not. So more like this is sort of what I'm getting at. We're gonna work with these. Please remember the ages and stuff. Okay, let's start off with design from what we know of them first. Okay, we're gonna do a case study together. Okay, this is the way that I have a lot of my case managers and therapists and even the other psychologists that are underneath me break it down. Okay, so design is a 22-year-old. Now, do they identify like what are their pronouns? He, him, they, he. Uh, you know, does he consider himself a male? But I haven't seen the show. Kill me. Oh, no worries. He, him. You think? Okay. I'm waiting for our big storage of knowledge here. There's only a character that uses them. Okay, so he, him. Perfect. Perfect. We'll break it down this way. All right. So we have Desire, 22-year-old male, right? Who with pronouns of he, him, coming into our office today. Okay. From what we know, we're going to go from the very basics and build them up from there. Okay. I hope y'all are okay with this. From what we know, chat, where is he in Maslow's hierarchy of needs? Well, I would also ask, like, does he have a health home? You know, tell me his diagnosis, but because we don't know his health home or diagnosis just yet, we're going to start building out this aspect, then maybe start looking at a potential diagnosis, you know. But anyway, where is he at in Maslow's hierarchy of needs? He's in the purple. You think so? You think that he has a good family life, chat? By the way, let me explain this real quick. For Maslow's hierarchy of needs, you do not need to meet every single item for you to be on another level above or below, right? It's just important that you meet a majority of the items so that you have a healthy foundation, right? Whenever we look at this, we look at what needs to be met. So where is he? Does he have security of body? Chat. Does he have security of body? That means, is he comfortable in his own body, in his life, in health, in aspects of morality, in resources, properties, in his own employment? Does he have water, food, sex, sleep, homeostasis, excretion? Does he have friends, right? People that he would genuinely consider friends, or people that consider him a friend, family, deep sexual intimacy, ability to connect with others. Does he have self-esteem, confidence, achievement, respect of others? Or, you know, is he struggling with morality, creativity, spontaneity, problem solving, lack of prejudice, acceptance of facts? Where is he at? Rain says red. So I'm going to say red green, you know? So in this one, this is safety and love and belonging. Which a big one with this is, does he love himself, right? That's the big question to ask whenever it comes to this, right? Does Desai love himself, and also himself enough to value his life? That's a question to ask, right? Ooh, and we just got real with that, didn't we? Okay, comes in the next question. What type of relationships is he looking with others that we've seen so far, that we've understood? This is called Steinberg's theory of love. And its main aspect, and it's not just romantic love, it can be platonic. It's a way that we connect with others, right? So Steinberg's theorem of love. Is he looking for a connection? Is he looking to connect with others on an aspect of being committed, of being romantic, or, you know, is it? We don't fully know yet. We might not know yet, and that's okay. You know, that is a okay. You know, so I'm gonna put IBK. We don't know so far. Is that okay? Will you guys accept that? I hope you guys will accept that, because we're moving on. I was about to say, we don't know what we don't know, but we can find out, and we can keep growing this. Yeah, so far there's no way of knowing. What is his attachment style, chat? By the way, this is both from Ainsworth and Bowlby, both researchers that came up with attachment styles and introduced it out to the world as, like, you know, are we secured? Like, you know, when we grow up with our parents or our caregivers, right? They're the first ones that teach us how to go ahead and react to the world. And when they don't pay attention to us, or when they give us too much attention, right? We find ways to cope with our world and our environment. What do we see with them? It's not secure. From what we've seen, if you're saying secure attachment, from what I've seen, he acts like the way some CEOs, I've seen some CEOs act, in general, trying to play it off cool, right? But yet finding ways to manipulate situations, becoming very vulnerable when there's big crisis, or using vulnerability as a tool to get stuff. It can be very reliant, self-reliant, right? Unless, of course, you need a team or something like that. So in my opinion, and you guys can correct me if I'm wrong, currently I would probably put him in the avoidant category. What about you guys? At least from what's been showcased so far. Avoidant? Yeah. Yeah, 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 yeah. So I'm gonna put him in the avoidant category altogether, which is good. It means we're making headway at understanding them. Okay, chat. Has he used any of the following tactics? Moving goalposts when criteria shifts which have to be met to satisfy. Generalization or changing the subject. Gaslighting. A little bit of passive aggressiveness, lying or denial. Targeting Atsushi's insecurities. Ignoring. Conspiring. Evoking fear. Stereotyping. Emotional abuse. Okay. Chat instantly like yes. Okay. I bring this up because it's important to understand the character as a whole, not necessarily because we're targeting him, okay? What is the mask that he tries to showcase others versus what is the mask that we see him wear inside? Oh, this is really good. Okay. By the way, these are the Jungian archetypes, and at times, this is sort of what we try and go ahead and put on our mask so that others see the positive side of things. And there's an internal struggle in between our internal desires, our internal mask at times, how we criticize ourselves, how, that negative side of, like, all it takes is things going out of balance for that negative mask to be seen versus that positive mask just to be seen. Jester and Sage. So here we go. You're saying gesture. And then I think the other one's Sage and Elitist. Caregiver, Sage, Gesture, Caregiver. Hmm, look at that. You guys are coming up with quite a bit. Slave, service. I have one that maybe borders on a couple things. Y'all ready? I would actually probably throw it along the lines of Explorer Outlaw. And the reason why I say this is the way he tries to take his life is very interesting. Is the best way I can put it. He'll go down a river if need be. In Outlaw, because again, it doesn't necessarily meet the standards. It's not necessarily the mask he wants to put on, but it's something that, well, I mean, does he fit the standard definition of what we think, someone in his position would fit? Ooh, I'm gonna put those down because for me, that's what I'm seeing, and you guys will kind of see what I'm trying to get at. Mm, Outlaw's actually a very good guess. Yeah, that's straight of what I'm thinking. So hold on, Outlaw. This is my guess based on what I've seen. Criminal. And that's for liberation. Liberation. And the other one was Explorer and Raider. And I think that's freedom. And this is archetypes. Yay, we're making progress, chat. Woohoo! Yeah, we're doing great. Don't you feel great? All right. So, wait, isn't he from the police? But he doesn't fit the outline of police, right? In any way, shape, or form, you know? Anyway, let's keep going. What are the defense mechanisms that we see? By the way, I hope it's okay with y'all in the Bungo Stray Dogs community if we do one of these like per episode, maybe tackle a different character per time, or if there's something that we need to add, we'll add on to it, you know, so that as it keeps evolving, we keep growing. Because I know some people like it, some people hate it. It is what it is. Check the time description for when the actual thing. So, what is the defense mechanism, chat? That we see them use, and I'll tell you guys this, right? Defense mechanisms, not everything's in here. You have things like intellectualization. You have 101 other things out there that individuals use that isn't formatted on here. But what have we seen him use when being challenged in some capacity? Have we seen anything? I've seen one. Reaction formation. You might be thinking to yourselves, how? How did he emotionally like get all that information and stuff? He was thinking the entire time, oh, this is where this is going, but he was acting another way to get the information needed. You know, and this is the way that to put it, right? I.e., feeling one way but acting another, right? That is the one way to go ahead and throw that in there. What else, chat? I'd say sublimation's a pretty good one as well, right? I.e., his ability. You think he regresses a little? He acts. Something that I do gotta ask, and it's been on my mind. He didn't eat anything in the scene, right? In episode 1 at the restaurant. Does he like? And this is gonna sound really weird, really like out there. Yeah, sublimation, absolutely. Sublimation. DF for defense mechanisms. Does he have issues with food? Like, does he have issues eating, or like digesting, or is he, because some individuals, especially if you've been at a very stressful job, or you've been through some stuff, at times you may struggle with intake, or if you've been through something traumatic like sexual abuse or some sort of trauma at an early age, at times your body rejects, not just physical touch or even closeness of an individual, but even anything that brings you comfort, because at like, and by the way, I say comfort because guess what, when you eat food, your brain sends dopamine, releases a bunch of endorphins, to try and make you feel good, right? And even though it might have been a traumatic situation, and this is one of the big elements that I highlight out there, right? Oftentimes traumatic situations make your brain send endorphins, right? It's not because you wanted to, it's because your brain's reacting and it's sending hormones wherever it needs to do to try and mediate things, right? So is he just a picky eater, or does he have an issue with food? That's the real question to ask in there. Or maybe he just doesn't want anything at all. Maybe he just wasn't hungry and the whole thing was just set up. Maybe problems even could be. Could be. I don't know. I don't know. It was just something that stood out to me because if this is something that continues, for example, like let's say that this continues on the anime and we don't see him really eat food. then I'm gonna go ahead and highlight that it's a concern. You know. Anyway, awesome. Okay, we got defense mechanisms out of the way. All right, we already did. Actually, I haven't put this one on the board. Erickson's developmental theorem. We highlighted. What have we highlighted, chat? Where would you say the first issue popped up? And no, I have not read the book, Hikaru. I really haven't had time to read like any. I've been doing this for what, like 4 or 5 years now. Like it's just been anime, video games nonstop, like one after another, after another, after another. So I haven't really had the opportunity to sit down and read anything. And even and anything before that was pretty much just school and work. So it really wasn't into everything that we got going on. Okay, where would you say his first trauma popped up, chat? And this isn't a rhetorical question. This is actually a very real question. Just don't spoil why. You know that this might help out quite a bit in putting this together. Probably at the beginning of his life, and I would agree with that. What I'm seeing is, on the aspects of self-care, of not really caring for their own life, of things in there. We'll touch on this one a little bit more. There's probably been stress or parentification or adultification for design from a very, very early age. So I'm gonna put 0 all the way through young adult, or adulthood. There was probably a lot that's been hit or missed, altogether. Maybe he's an orphan too. Exactly. Is his world safe? Can he trust others? Really trust others, right? How does he feel about others in that regard? Does he really feel any aspects of success, or does he feel shame? And shame in not just himself, but say previous ventures or previous aspects, and how he grew up and how he came, right? Does he try and a big aspect of it, right? Does he experience a lot of guilt from the past, or even like disapproval that may have led to guilt, right? Does success allow him the feeling to feel competent, or does it just allow him to keep feeling inferior to others, right? Is he just confused in his own role and what he wants to go ahead and do, and what it means to be human, or what it means to live in general? Hence why he may be seeking an aspect of death, not necessarily to try and take his own life because it's the end all be all, but to try and understand death through that meaning, because it's better than trying to go ahead and keep feeling an aspect of being confused or inferior or whatever that may be. And does he form actual intimate and loving relationships, or is he actually kind of lonely and isolated and sort of the joke of the group from time to time, because it's easier for him to play the role of the gesture than it is for him to be vulnerable and attached to people on a one-on-one level? I don't know, but I hope that this anime explores it. And there's a lot more, right? Like, does he feel, actually involved in the world, or is he kind of shallowly involved and more focused on himself, because it's easier for him to focus on his own self than it is on the impact that he's having on others? And also, is he leaving a good, fulfilling life, right? Or is he actually just filled with regret, bitterness, and despair, and that's what's driving a lot of his elements, right? What does the existential aspect of him look like? All right. Now we got the power and control wheel, which I know we touched on manipulation tactics. Has he used any of these? My answer is probably going to be yes. Right? I'm keeping my mouth shut. Oh no. My answer is probably going to be yes. You guys already said, highlighted that he did use some emotional. By the way, manipulation in of itself is not bad. Let me highlight that again. Let me say it louder for the crowd in the back. Manipulation in of itself is not entirely bad. Okay, manipulation in of itself, you like, for example, I can manipulate this expo marker to be able to go ahead and use it correctly, right? In therapy or in other areas, right, there's forms of manipulation that is used to try and get people to start the process of self-healing, right? There's a saying that in the behavioral health field, which goes, you can lead a person to water, but you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make it drink, right? The same way with like healthcare, right? You can lead a person to therapy or to like behavioral health in general, but you can't allow them the opportunity, or like if they don't want the process to heal, then you can't force them to heal, right? You can only showcase them, like, what is there. So I highlight this because unfortunately, a lot of individuals seem to just think manipulation is bad overall. But like, hey, you sometimes manipulate people by telling a white lie or by telling them to dress a certain way, or you sometimes dress a certain way because you want other people to look at you a certain way, right? Dude, everything and anything that you do out there, it can be considered a form of manipulation. Now, manipulation is inherently or very, very bad when you start using it to take advantage of other people in a way that causes a negative reaction in their life, with or without them knowing. That's when we start looking at forms like this. So when we look at this power and control wheel, have we seen them do use any of this in any way, shape, or form? We've seen them use intimidation tactics, but that's just standard from the way that they were talking about things, right? Oh, we've seen the aspects of making Atsushi not feel the greatest. Yeah, social standing. We've seen some of these. Now, is it all inherently bad? Of course, if someone is doing this and you find out that someone is doing this, please know that that is a red flag. Something for you to keep in mind. But it's also the circumstances behind how they're doing it, right? So the answer is still yes for power and control. Alrighty. I need a bigger whiteboard. Yo, Fora, what's up? How you doing? Hope you're doing well. Muggle FX, thanks so much for the sub as well. And everyone that's been subbing, I really appreciate y'all. Lesser Candy, what's up? How you doing? Hope you're doing well, my friend. It's been a hot minute. Let me see. Anything else I need to bring up in here? Actually, there is another one that I need to bring up, and I'm gonna bring it up when it comes up in the anime itself as well, which comes to their bandages that they have. Is it due to what is it due to? Is it self-harm? Is it an aspect of control? Where does that come from? I'm looking at all these other ones and I'm like, I don't think that we really need to go into them right now as they're more expansive, relationship dissolutions, the different stages, you know, SA, issues in development, how it affects individuals, give and take, grounding journeys. No, we don't need to go through that at the moment. I think we're fine. So let's talk about this, shall we? All right, chat, get ready. Not for health reasons. Exactly, Durable. There's a lot of good questions. Let's bring this up, shall we? Alrighty. Ladies and gentlemen, and all my non binary pals, welcome on in. I hope that you have your notebooks ready, and welcome to the Dorito Supervision Hour. Okay. We're going to get started here with our first client of this season. Okay. And I want y'all to give me, first off, how this makes you feel, what you think they're going through, and also anything that pops up to mind, when it comes to us going through this. Okay. Or chat, are we in the clear? Drop a Dorito if you guys are. By the way, I say first client because I really do think that all of them sort of need and deserve therapy in some way, shape, or form. If I was in this anime world, I would love to give them all therapy and psychological services. But yes, drop some Doritos if you're in agreement here. If we're all in agreement here. Okay, good. You have your sticky notes, your notebook ready. Yes, this is about Bungo Stray Dogs, Lester. Okay, here we go. All right, coming up first, we have Desai, a 22-year-old male with he/him pronouns. At the moment, we do not know if they're in a relationship or if they even have any meaningful relationships. We do know, however, that they have a friendship or a working relationship with Kunikita, right? They work as a detective, if we're going to call it that, right? When we look at his Maslow's hierarchy of needs, we're seeing and understanding that their own personal safety, safety of safety of body, employment, whatever that may be, is in jeopardy or is deficient, as well as your love and belonging, right? Friends, family, sexual intimacy, their ability to be intimate sexually, vulnerable vulnerable with others. When we look at their theorem of love, we don't fully understand that quite yet, right? However, we look at their attachment style and it's very clearly defined as avoidant, right? I.e., they will not fully let down their guard to connect with others, so they may play it off as a joke, as a gaffe, as a moment, because it's a lot easier for them to give this character for people to connect to than for people to connect with what may be hidden. In fact, talk about hidden. He has a lot of how shall we put it, wraps around his hands. Not only that, it seems as though he has his outerwear seems to be very thick, very heavy, as though he is hiding an aspect of himself, as though that is an aspect of the avoidant nature, to not let others in some way, shape, or form. Or it might just be, further along the way. When we look at his archetypes, we see that there are a lot of archetypes present here. Jester hater, sage elitist, caregiver slave, outlaw criminal, explorer, and raiders. And with that, that means that there are issues pertaining to pleasure. Can Desai actually experience pleasure and feel good about things? Or is there something associated with the aspects of pleasure that may drive Desai's maybe even a need for punishment, maybe even a need, an aspect of self that like he'll start hating himself, or he doesn't feel good, or maybe an aspect of pleasure that derives from hate, right? I.e., whenever he used to feel good in the past, maybe he wasn't doing good things, and maybe that's why he has sort of this power imbalance between either playing the clown or actually being seen as sort of a negative Nancy or a hater or whatever that may be. A sage elitist, where the main aspect that's trying to fight for control is knowledge, right? How does he expose this knowledge? How does he use this knowledge? Does he use this in a way that benefits others, right? And is seen as a way of guidance, like a sage would? Or does he use it to implant this on others? I'm better than you. You will listen to what I have to say because I know what's coming, right? And that changes into sort of an elitist mentality. When it comes into that caregiver slave, who is he of service to? Is he of service to others or himself, right? And that's sort of where that comes in as well, right? Is he really able to go ahead and be a service to his own needs and wants and desires? Or is he a slave to destiny and fate itself or time itself, and therefore impacting all the other ones? When we look at outlaw criminal, does he have the aspects of liberations? Is he truly free, which ties in with freedom as well, with explorer raider, right? Is he truly free? Is he truly liberated from his past, from himself? Or does he have more to him than meets the eye? Or is there an aspect where maybe because he has to do things his own way, because maybe he's an explorer at times, that he does come off sort of as a criminal, right? Or maybe he has a shady background and can come off as a raider as well, right? I.e., we have to do, this is the way that things have to get done. If they don't get done this way, all of this is going to happen, and all of this is empowering in itself. And then the big aspect that's not in here is the cognitive distortions that may come up to play. When we look at their defense mechanisms, there are two big ones that come through: reaction formation, thinking one way and acting differently, or acting one way and thinking another, right? Being like, oh my God, right? Like, I already know where this is going to go, and then playing the role because it's a lot easier to get a response that way. Or sublimating it in a way that, like, you act in a way that's socially acceptable for you to get your needs met, right? And when we look at Erickson's developmental theorems, we see that there are clear issues from zero to adulthood. Now, specifically, how do we highlight this? Well, we highlight it by talking about the aspect that, hey, you know what? Is his world safe? How was he? Did he have good parents growing up or not? Does he trust others truly and genuinely? Does he trust the world around him in any capacity? Does he do things by himself, or does he rely on others? Is there an aspect of shame or doubt and he takes everything on by himself because it's a lot better than trying to go ahead and rely on others? Or Does he can he actually handle things? Is he good or bad? Does he exert to, like, is he afraid of exerting too much power or experiencing disapproval because he might feel guilty? Does he have a sense of competence, or does he always feel inferior, and even inferior to himself and his past roles? Does he know where he's going, or is he just confused in of himself, right? Is he confused as to where he's going? Is he confused as to how to live? Is he confused as to what living means, or what life means, or even what death means in of itself? Does he know, maybe, like, and is this a big aspect of things? Is he trying to take his life because maybe inside of that he understands the concept of death, right? And it's better to take your life on your own hands than it is to try and go ahead and be afraid of it, right? And that's a big aspect that comes through whenever it comes to role confusion and even self. And a big thing with that as well is intimacy and isolation, right? Is he loved and wanted? Does he have strong relationships, or are they shallow and actually kind of lonely and isolated and only really held together because of the roles that he's learned to play? And when it comes to adulthood, right, is he providing something of real value, or is he shallowly involved in the world? And is he doing something that leaves a fulfilled life, or is he kind of, his past kind of filled with regret, bitterness, and a bit of despair? Those are the questions. And unfortunately, from what we're gathering, there's been a lot of developmental milestones that weren't met properly. So that's a lot for an adult to try and go ahead and reflect on. Most importantly, the power and control wheel. Does he use some of the aspects of power and control to use other and emotional manipulation towards his advantage? Which the answer was yes. So, chat, now that we've gone over this individual, what comes to mind? How does that make you feel about this individual? For me, there's a couple of things, which is, how scary and lonely must it be? Uncomfortable. How lonely and scary must it be where the only aspect that you're able to give to others might be a mask of yourself, or you might be trying to give your true self, but others might think it's a mask, or even if that is a mask, is the mask of yourself that you're trying to give to others. How lonely and terrifying is it when people may only see that side of you, right? um or may know a little bit more, but yet you still try and keep everyone in the dark because it's easier for you to try and maintain all of this going than it is for you to let others in. What has the Zai gone through as a 22-year-old individual, to already have all of these issues or all of these things that need to be worked on? That's a lot. It's a lot for a person, and it's a lot for someone to go through, especially when, we don't even know if he has, like, actual meaningful relationships that would help them out. Empty is a good word to describe that. Yeah. Do you think that he's grounded in this world by anything of real value? That's the next question to ask. Or is the world a better place if you weren't in it? If you've had all of this? I think the Zion needs a lot of love and care. And I would imagine that the call of the void is so strong because of this. In case y'all don't know, the call of the void is often a way to go out and express. If y'all ever get the feelings or the thoughts, sometimes labeled as suicidal ideation, but not necessarily, right? You might be a normal, healthy person, and you get the thought, what would happen if I just went into oncoming traffic, right? But for him, we clearly see that he's like, okay, look, I'm gonna walk onto oncoming traffic, right? Or something silly like that, right? But the main aspect is, like, he probably gets a lot of call of the voids in this regard, because again, what is keeping him grounded? And by grounded, I mean this: you need to have more positives than negatives in these rings for you to be grounded. This is Brofenbrenner's ecological theorem, right? And if you have a healthy family, health services, even religious organizations, and so on and so forth, it's a lot easier for us to say, hey, you know what, you have a good grounded micro, meso, exo, macro system, so on and so forth. But when people struggle because they don't really have a healthy family, or good relationship with peers, or work or health or whatever that may be, all of a sudden it starts kind of cracking from there. And the impact that the individual may have may only be seen as negative. Wow, that's a lot. I think bro needs, like, he needs a lot of love and support. Honestly, a lot of therapy, love. Yeah, that's quite a bit for someone to go through. And I'm really curious to see how he keeps evolving, or what we get right versus what we need to keep adjusting, you know? Because ultimately this is just out of episode 1, right? Out of what we've seen from one episode. So chat, I guess, for yourself, right? Keep this in mind, because as we keep growing, we're either going to add or take away, and eventually diagnose him. Because at this point in time, unless we were able to get the full history, legal history, background, presenting problems, which I'm sure that we'll get through as we keep working on this, then we'll be able to go ahead and start a diagnosis, and actually give him, from the holy book of wisdom here, an appropriate diagnosis for him. Does this help you out in understanding the character maybe a little bit more? I hope it does. I hope that breaking down a character like this maybe gives you a little bit more to look at and understand. Like, maybe understand a lot of the struggles that they're going through. You know, the tome of wisdom. Yeah, a lot of the struggles that a character is going through, and even though they're a character, guess what? There's a lot of you out there that are currently going through a lot of this and just keeping it inside. And if you are, hey, I'm a psychologist. I'm not your psychologist, unfortunately. So please go seek professional help in your area. There's a lot of wonderful licensed individuals in your area that are able to work with you and help you out throughout your issues. Of course, if you want a supportive network, the Discord is there for you. Please feel free to join and talk about Bungo Stray Dogs or meet new friends or whatnot. But this is only one episode that we've seen Dazai. This is all the information that we can extract from one episode, from 20 something minutes. That's a lot. And I'm really curious, how is this going to keep evolving? Anyway, let me go ahead and erase this. I hope y'all enjoyed it. I hope y'all have your good notes, because it's, trust me when I say you'll probably have a book full by the end of the season. All right, there we go. Yeah, I know, right? And some people are like, "Oh, you're taking too long." Yeah, it's because there's a lot to analyze. There's a lot to take in from these characters. Who's here watching for the first time? Anyway, with that being said, yeah, did we do a good job? I hope we did. YouTube, if we did a good job, if you liked it, drop a comment. It helps the algorithm, please. It actually does. Like, weirdly enough, it comments and likes, and make sure to hit that like button. As cringy as that is, actually helps push the video out. Who would have thought? Anyway, with that being said, let's do it. Oh, I'm excited.
久しぶりに嗅ぐ畳の匂い。
Tatami mats. Ooh. We're 1 second in, and it's already bringing up another thing. Don't copyright strike this. Is it sushi? Ooh. Okay, here we go. Y'all ready for this? Chat, in general, what does... This is such good cinematography. What do you see? By the way, sometimes you might see the filter on screen for longer than it should be. I'm sorry, I'm not the greatest editor, and sometimes I'm just editing really late at night. So if you see the filter still up when it shouldn't be up, apologies. I edit all the videos myself, and cut things out from time to time. So anyway, what do you see? What colors do you see, chat? First off, center frame, right? So we know that Atsushi is the main focus, right? Messy haircut. What else? We see the white bed. You know, Atsushi clearly being quite lighter than anything else. However, we also see blue on his neck. We see orange, yellow on his eyes. And not only that, we see a little bit of gray hair slash darkness around him. Focus in, chat. Talk about metaphors. Everything is intentional whenever it comes to framing. Number one, white bed, right? Purity, innocence, all of those symbolisms and aspects that you can bring up, right? Gray, i.e., this is an individual that's in between the gray, right? The darkness covering, you know, an aspect of his face, aspect of, you know, his hair, even whatnot out there. We could talk about aspects of him being hidden. Like, you know, maybe there's still a lot more to dig into his past. You know, maybe not everything is out in the light because unfortunately, you look at any other anime waking up, you usually see their full face without any shadows. Whenever there's shadows involved, it's usually symbolism towards, you know, we're not seeing its full face in light. Very interesting things, very interesting elements. However, when we look at blue and we look at the orange in his eyes, good night, Firemouth. The following is sort of, at least in the American standards, how a lot of art therapists use colors to get kids to express their emotions. This is called a color wheel, an emotion based wheel that teaches young kids how to express their emotions, right? And it changes based on culture, based on wherever you are. You guys can find this out everywhere, and there's a mix of colors and mix of things out there. Blue, the blue shirt that he was wearing. Isolated, abandoned, victimized, fragile, grief, powerless, ashamed, remorseful, empty, inferior, disappointed, embarrassed, hurt, depressed, guilty, despair, vulnerable, lonely, sad. Orange, fearful, scared, anxious, insecure, weak, rejected, threatened, exposed, nervous, persecuted, included, insignificant, worthless, inferior, inadequate, worried, overwhelmed, frightened, helpless. If it's yellow, then it's playful, content, interested, proud. You know, you guys get the point. But I just find it very interesting that there's like all this aspect of like light in it, but at the same time, you know, this aspect of like innocence, purity. The room is white. I wish I had like a white sheet, you know, but I don't. I have different colored sheets, you know. But seeing the fact that there's like so much to it that you're able to just take apart from it, for me is like so there's probably a lot of sadness, a lot of guilt, a lot of aspects that Atsushi is probably may still be holding on to that they're not ready to move on from just yet.
あれ、ここどこだっけ？確か夕べ。
変身中の記憶は全くなしかい？
何のことです？
あ、でもまだ右手に残ってる。
右手？
Hey! Oh, okay, and he has blue on the bed. Nice. Interesting, though. What is Dazai's power, chat? What is his ability called? Not a human, right? Correct me if I'm wrong there. No longer human, yes. But yet his paw remained, right? What's interesting about that is hands, in a lot of media, and you've heard me talk about this before, man, are used as symbols of change. Can Atsushi change his environment as a human or as the monster? What is more powerful for an aspect of change for him and for his environment? Is it Atsushi the human? Yeah, they're agents of change. Is it Atsushi the human or Atsushi the monster?
久しぶりだな、天井。あ、何
Nani? Nani?
はいはいはい、出ます、今出ます、すぐ出ます。
Actually, so extremely real. I have such a like, I'm really good at texting whatnot, but I hate phone calls. So the moment that I get a phone call and it's ringing or buzzing, I'm like, what, who's calling, why? I'd rather text or leave a voice message than like, yeah.
これね、早く動いて、もう、どれだ、もしもし。グッドモーニング。サイさんですか。
今日もいい天気だね。新しい寮の方はどうだい？
おかげさまで野宿に比べたら雲の上の宮殿のようです。
Oh,
それはよかった。枕元の着替えは探偵社のみんなからのプレゼントだ。
oh, nice.
何から何までありがとうございます。
ところで淳くん、いきなり申し訳ないが、
実は緊急事態が発生したのだ。
緊急事態？ああ、一刻を争うのだよ。
Is this a trash can? What is this? Wait. He looks like he's stuck. Wait, but there's been an emergency. It's like completely surrounding his back. It goes around him into his like shoulder and above. What? Yeah, I always freak out and stammer. Yeah, I'm also like, what's up, Amber? How you doing?
が発生したのだ。
緊急事態？ああ、一刻を争うのだよ。
There's no time to
すぐに
waste.
指定の場所に来てくれたまえ。大変な事態だ。君だけが頼りだよ。
はい、わかりました。
Help me, Atsushi. I'm stuck. Oh no. Help me, little bro. Oh. I know, banger of an opening. Pulls your feet onward. My XP bar is low. Sorry. I'm not the villain of this story. You just don't understand me. I was following your suggestion and your vision. I'm sorry, this character, the clearly looking villain individual, is giving me the vibes of like help. He's just giving me the vibes of someone that's like, I thought I followed your every advice. Do you think that like you'd notice me, senpai? The XP bar. Oh no. Oh, sorry. I look at a character and sometimes just the character vibes gets me going. I'm like, ah. What I do find interesting is like, number one, you have really all these towers with red illuminating and the rest of the city is green yellow. Chat, what is red usually seen as? Like whenever it's usually whenever you have like a stereotypical anime whatnot, danger, evil, cool lighting. Yeah, but sometimes it's just cool lighting. What else? It's usually like seen as like the villain, right? The villains in the story are usually like dark colors, red, black, you know, all of those, right? Look at Star Wars, right? What do we get? Darth Vader, black costume, red lightsaber, right? Evil, whatnot. But yet Dazai is falling from the top of this tower down. And when he falls down, what do we see? We see we'd see everyone else that so far we're deeming as good. Question, chat. It might be rhetorical. Was Dazai evil at one point in time? Was he at the top of his game? Like the way that this scene is suggesting, right? You know, very ominous, very big looking tower here, you know, growing all the way through, all the way up top, and yet for whatever reason they chose to jump off. They chose to come from, you know, the heights of power or whatever this might be to rather be with everyone else. I don't know if that makes sense. I might be overcooking here. I'm just looking at the imagery here and I'm like, huh, that's a very interesting way for them to just showcase this, and also for them to close their eyes as though they understand that this is what's best and this is what fate desires. I'm overcooking. Yeah, like look. Ooh. And if that is the case, if that is the case, was this the first official successful way that Dazai killed Dazai? I'm overcooking here, okay? I'm overcooking here. Hold on, wait a minute. I'm overcooking. This shit's peak. Hold on. If the symbolism is right here, is this the first official case that Dazai might have killed Dazai? If Dazai was actually evil, and this opening shot is trying to tell, like an ego death, yes, right? Like maybe he had to come back anew, right? Maybe this version, because he looks so peaceful, right? This version of Dazai that maybe was at the very top of their game, you know, maybe whatever reason, right? The way that I'm interpreting this is there's this evil whatnot. He falls, right? But yet it looks peaceful. It looks as though like this is something that needed to happen, as though an ego death, a version of Dazai, a version of self needed to go ahead and pass away for new aspects, new growth, new whatever you want to call it to come through, right? I don't know. I'm clearly overcooking. He could also just been fighting someone and decided to jump off. I don't know. I don't know, but that's a very long shot for this to just be insignificant. Because look, everything else is like the city. And the big red buildings are gone. He's definitely jumping from red into green. Is Atsushi going to like is Dazai essentially like is the agent of change Atsushi for Dazai to start walking forward and start understanding that his power is a treasure? And aside from that, is Dazai taking on the role of like a mentor or something for Atsushi here to also garner his strength and, you know, expand out his family, as we clearly see that like everyone else comes into the picture? Sorry, I should have done this. Hold on, chat. My powers are activating. Hold on, I'm overcooking here, but my powers are activating. Whether it's real or fake, just take it along. That's what I like to hear. Here's the thing about treasures, right? Maybe even a treasure in a literal sense. Yeah. Yeah, White Tiger, Byakko Secret. But also a treasure is your interpretation of value, right? How much you value something to be. So if you don't value something at all, this pen can be worthless. Like let's say I don't really value this pen, right? And I'm like, whatever, screw it, whatnot. And then I get a contract that says that needs to be written with the specific pen I threw away. How much is this pen worth now? Probably worth like everything, right? That's the aspect of like our own interpretations of value, right? And even though it might be fake, right, in that scenario in of itself, in our own mind, sometimes our brains over process stuff, right? And at times it weighs us down. At times it gives us a lot of anxiety, pressure, so on and so forth, about like the weight of treasure as well. You're a star. I wish. He has a lemon? What's he gonna do? Give me a limoncello? Gonna give me a shot? I love the smoking, cool looking guy over here. Also, might be overstepping here. Girls in suits. That's all I gotta say. I ain't gotta. You know, people in suits in general always look amazing. You know, never mess with lemons. Yes, never mess with lemons. I never thought that this would be like one of my Japanese animes. I'm only 5 feet tall. You know, my XP bar is a little low, but I'm here to help you. You're just not understanding the real issues at play here. I love little characters. I'm sure he's going to be they're going to be a very complicated individual, right? It's probably a lot more like in-rooted. I'm in an anime. Yeah, it's probably a lot more like in-rooted, like trauma and whatnot. Notice me, senpai. Yeah. But I'm just going off of the character reaction, right? Over the top. One of embarrassment. No, for me, someone with eyes and stuff like this is like usually one that's like very obsessed, or to the point of like stalkerish, right? Like I've actually had a couple individuals that I met IRL that have had eyes like this. Really, Rain? Oh, you're fun sized, adorable. Oh, intense. It's only a dream. Yo. What a way for this girl to come through and just block the camera. Nope. Ooh. Ooh. Why does the fights look clean as hell? Wait a minute. The red moon, right? Overseeing everything, danger ahead. Red oversees everything. Green, green, light colors. Red, red. There's got to be some sort of connection between these two in some capacity. The moon is red. Oh, that's awesome. That's so cool. There's so much to take away just from that little opening segment that we could probably spend another hour or 40 minutes going through it. But for the sake of my time and your time, how about we keep going? Do we agree, chat? We could probably do a deeper analysis next time when it's not 2 in the morning or about to be 2 in the morning. Agreed? Drop some Doritos if agreed. Drop a red X if no. I know. Watch. Go to sleep. No, what do you mean go to sleep? You see, everyone's saying agreed. Yay. Yay. Okay. Boom, 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 boom. I'd say good morning, but it's already noon. Oh, thank you guys. All right, let's keep going.
用意はいいかね、アツシ君。
はい。
Oh,
まず部屋を出たらドアをちゃんと閉めて後ろを見ろ。
shut the fuck up. Don't tell me that he literally told him step by step what to do, and he's probably just like there, like, hi.
後ろ。
No! He's in his trash can, isn't he? Hey, yo, okay. Something else that needs to be added onto... That's the look that Loki gives me whenever he's, like, in trouble. He's flexible. That's important, chat. Jot that down. He can put his feet close to his head. Flexible. Not like that. No. Anyway, let's keep going. I said it, and then I was like, wait, damn, he can take some interesting poses. I'm writing that down. No. Oh, someone, hold on. Can I take a screenshot of this? I can. There we go. There we go, chat. Thumbnail. My face on. Anyway, let's keep going.
これは何ですか？
なんだと思う？
朝の幻覚。はずれー。まさか敵の襲撃ですか？
Cammy, welcome on through.
自分で入った。
You got in yourself, really?
こうしてドラム缶にはまる自殺法があると聞いたものだからちょいと試してみたのだよ。ところがこの通り試してみると苦しいばかりで一向に死ねない。しかもここまではまると自力では出られない。死にそう。
I think I might die. Oh.
でも自殺法なのですからそのままそうしていればいずれ自殺できるので。
I know, he'd get the job
私
done.
は自殺は好きだが苦しいのも痛いのも嫌いなのだ。当然だろう。
Which is interesting, because in of itself, didn't he try drowning? And isn't that kind of a painful way to go as well? Also, Cammy, hi! We're currently doing Bungo Stray Dogs analysis. You know, it's a very, very interesting anime altogether. Hope you're doing well. Yeah, I was about to say, because you haven't seen it. We're barely on episode 2. Episode 1 took us a long time to get through. But it's really, really good. Interesting, though. So... Oh, thank you. I appreciate it. Interesting, though, that he doesn't like pain. The reason why I say that, and I brought this up in the past studies that I've highlighted as well, is it seems as though like a clean death is his way to go, which again usually doesn't fit in with a lot of. He doesn't want to burden others, right? You're surviving? Aww. If there's any way that we can help you out, like, do let us know. We're here for you.
先日無自覚なまま虎に変身して暴れていたところをこの人
Yeah.
太宰さんに助けられた。そして太宰さんはこんな感じだけど、あの異能。
So it seems as though even his neck is bandaged up. I guess the question that I would have is, does he have tattoos or something? I know tattoos in anime for the most part, or in Japan, you know, there's that stereotype that tattoos means that you're part of a criminal organization or something, right? And at times you have to go ahead and like cover them, or you can't go into public spaces or certain events or certain things with your tattoos showing. So I guess that's sort of where my question goes through is like, does he have these bandages because maybe he's all tatted up and we don't fully know it?
翌週だ
A little
武
cortisol.
装探偵社の一員だった中島敦これより君は私たちの仲間になれ今日から君は武装探偵社の一員だ
Nice.
痛かった助かったよ敦くん君がいなかったら腰からポッケに二つ折りになるところだった他の同僚の方に助けを求めなかったのですか電話したよ死にそうなんだけどってそしたらみんな
Congratulations.
おめでとうございますってさどう思うでしょうね
I think he's still building rapport. I think I think this is all a way to again meet him where he's at. This I know this is gonna sound crazy, right? I know it's gonna sound crazy, and I know some of you guys are gonna be like, no. Why am I saying this? Can anyone guess? Without me having to look at the camera like I pooped my pants. Interesting that this is right outside his apartment, first and foremost, right? Second off, he's doing this. This is a power dynamic. Literally. Why? Because last episode, the ending of episode 1, or episode 1 had us like this. Straight up episode 2, the Zai is stuck, and Atsushi comes through and becomes a savior. Everyone else said congratulations, even though magically he got stuck and was barely starting to slip down to the bottom of this barrel. Why do you think this is important? And I do these questions to make you all think about situations or things, right? Or elements or even relationships and how things are framed. As we clearly saw in here, you start slipping all the way down, which is interesting because if it would have been for a long time or for a while, I'm surprised that he didn't start slipping, especially when he made that call, you know, that he was out there. Like, look, I'm a wanted in my group, just like you were in the orphanage, the outcast. In a way, yes, and it also kind of brings back that scale. Switching dynamics makes it easier to gain trust. Yeah. Well, not just that, right? It's like, hey, I'm, you know, oh, I tried committing suicide. I couldn't get it done. You saved me from it. Like we're now here. We're now in talking conditions. My group doesn't like me. You know, no one came through. Everyone said congratulations, but you're there for me, right? Like, let's talk about things, right? Like, how you doing? It's a lot easier to build that connection, that trust, if you believe that we're at the same level. and it's a lot easier for you to be vulnerable. What I'm taking from this is Dazai it might actually be a genius in disguise. It might actually be using a lot of propinquity tactics to help build a deeper connection with the Tsushi and to allow him to be vulnerable with him and share. I think I might die.
So
And they start slipping. Anyway.
だってさ、どう思う？
でしょうね。
まったく。異能力者って連中は皆どこか心がいびつだ。
異能力者。
The P word, yes, the P word, propinquity.
太宰さん。武装探偵社のいわゆる探偵の方たちはやっぱり皆さん異能力者なんですよね。
I might be right. The whiteboard fell on me, so I might be right.
電話したよ。死にそうなんだけどって。
Why is it not secure?
.そしたらみんな口を揃えておめでとうございますだってさ、どう思う？
でしょう。
まったく。異能力者って。連中は皆どこか心がいびつだ。
異能力者か。太宰さん。武装探偵社のいわゆる探偵の方たちはやっぱり皆さん異能力者なんですよね。
そう。警察でも歯が立たない敵を倒す。
The police don't stand a chance against.
やっぱり僕は探偵社には入れません。
君も立派な異能力者じゃない。
Okay. Chat. Is Dazai programming him? There's an aspect out there, it's not affiliated with psychology, but it's very well known out in the field, called neurolinguistic programming, right? And at times it's the way that subtle commands, subtle conversations can impart aspects into your conscious or subconscious brain to act, react, or feel a certain way, right? You know, how does this work, right? When I was at death's door, or the concept of death, I can only count on you. Congratulations. How does that make you feel? Giving him on purpose. Yeah, it's giving him on purpose. When people are at death's door and they can only count on you, feel good. How does that make you feel? Remember, people with gifts have issues. Indeed, indeed. You're gifted just fine. Reassuring this. The way I'm looking is it's expert writing. This is like phenomenally a well-written character, but the way I'm looking at this with like the propinquity levels, the way that he's trying to establish rapport, then going through and highlighting this because you were talking about like I called everyone else right, but I can only count on you when I'm like when a person's at death's door, when I'm dying, right? Congratulations, you know, that means that you're better than everyone, or that should make you feel better. So it's very interesting line of dialogue, and it's small little conversations like that that carry so much weight. I hope that this makes sense and maybe adds a little bit more to your repertoire as to like understanding why sometimes you got to pay attention to how people are phrasing things and how that can impact you as an individual to make certain choices, right? Okay.
確かに虎に変身するのは異能力ですが、僕はその異能力を全く制御できません。
No control over it.
ただ無自覚に変身してしまうだけで、自分の意志で虎になることはできないんです。だから僕が入っても何の役にも立てないと思います。ありがたいお話ですが、すいません。
これからどうするつもりだい？
なんとか僕にできる仕事を探してみようと思います。そう簡単に見つかるとは思えませんが。
君ができそうな仕事に心当たりがある。え？よければ斡旋してあげられるが。
本当ですか？
Notice how he doesn't shut him down. Notice how, like, I love Desai because his mind's always working. He doesn't shut him down. So I have a feeling that this is, the way that he knows how to move Atsushi is so phenomenal because he understands, like, you know, what his needs are, and he's like, okay, if I position him this way, I know I'm gonna get this reaction. I know I can get this done this way. It is so smart. And he just accepts it blindly, like, I have an idea for a potential job. He doesn't get mad. He doesn't.
君ができそうな仕事に心当たりがある。よければ斡旋してあげられるが。
本当ですか？よろしくお願いします。
Oh, it's peak. How can he leave normal if he can't control the true condition I missed from the last episode? No, that's exactly it, Darble. That's a question I had as well, which is like, how would he be able to go ahead and live normally if he doesn't understand himself, right? Ultimately, doesn't that mean that it can happen at any point in time and also impact everyone and everything else? Like, I'd be so terrified and afraid. Yo, Sleep Ash, thanks so much for the sub. I appreciate it. I would be so afraid of like just randomly a transformation happening and like there's no control over it.
これから向かうのはその仕事を紹介してくれる保証人さんのところだよ。必ず君のことを気に入ると思う。
Sure, he'll like you.
ついてからのお楽しみ。
Oh.
ちょっとした試験はあるかも。
試験？
あつしくん、字書ける？
一応
Can you write?
書きくらいは。
なら大丈夫だよ。君なら大丈夫だ。私が保証する。
You don't sound so sure, dude. You do not sound so sure. It sounds like this.
助かります。
感謝したまえ。私に任せておけば万事大。
Also, what is this test?
なぜなら私は太宰。社の信頼と民草の数形を一身に良くする男なのだから。こんなところにおったか太宰。この包帯無駄遣い装置が。
Bandage squandering machine. Oh no. No. And the title just right in the middle. Let that be heavier than the shot itself.
今の呼び名やるじゃないか。誰が社の信頼を一身に良くする男だ。お前が浴びてるのは文句と呪いと苦情。
We get complaints and grievances.
私がいつ苦情なんて受けたのさ。
8月某日入電。お宅の社員さんが海岸の漁業網に引っかかってるんだけど、引き取ってくんない？
He was just trying to swim with the fishes, you know? He was, what's wrong with that? You know, taking a scenic route, you know?
9月某日入電。後ろ畑に変な人が埋まっとったんじゃが、そちらの同僚さんか
Welcome on
の
through, Amitsume. He was trying to understand fertilizer, you know? How does fertilizer feel when it's deep in the ground?
同月某日入電。
うちの飲み代の付けちゃんと払ってくださいね。
He was doing the pay it forward. Like, you keep making excuses for it.
半年分です。そんなバカな。国木田君がこんなにモノマネがうまいなんて。
サブ人を苦労するのも大概に
この人に仕事の斡旋をしてもらって本当に大丈夫なんだろうか。
おお、そうだ。太宰のバカを相手にして1分も無駄にしてしまった。探偵社に急ぐぞ。
なんで？
緊急事態だ。爆弾魔が人質を取って探偵社に立てこもった。
する男なのだから。
こんなところにおったか太宰。この包帯無駄遣い装置が。
ここ数日何も食べてなくて。
奇遇だな。実は私もだ。
それじゃあ
ちなみに財布は流されたようだ。
そんな。
こんなところにおったか当変木。
国木田君ご苦労様。
何がご苦労様だ。苦労は全てお前のせいだ。この自殺マニア、お前はどれだけ俺の計画を乱せば気が済むのだ。
良いことを思いついた。彼は私の同僚なのだ。彼におごってもらえばいい。
人の話を聞けよ。
君、名前は？国木田君、今の呼び名やるじゃないか。
誰が社の信頼を一身に良くする男だ。お前が浴びてるのは文句と呪いと苦情の電話だ。
This is all a test. All of this is a test. The first time they used it as a way to get close to Atsushi. The first time they used it as a way to get close to Atsushi, right? And we saw clearly all the techniques and everything that was happening inside of the restaurant, right? You can be a fuck up and work at the agency. You don't need to be perfect. And when we look at this,
8月某に変な人が埋まっとったんじゃが、
they're really nailing this in home, which is great.
同月某日入電。
うちの飲み代の付けちゃんと払ってください。こんなにモノマネ
を苦労するのも大概に
この人に仕事の斡旋をしてもらって本当に大丈夫なんだろうか。
おお、そうだ。太宰のバカを相手にして 1分も無駄にしてしまった。探偵社に急ぐぞ。
なんで？
緊急事態だ。爆弾魔が人質を取って探偵社に立てこもった。
Oh, no worry, Amatsume. I'm glad that you like it. Welcome on through. I appreciate you a ton. A bomber's taken up hostage. So why isn't he there? And why say this out loud? I love anime like this. I love anime that gets you to think, and at times it's very open like this, right? Because a big thing that I'm understanding is there's two sides to every story. And sometimes people have a different opinion as to what is valid and what isn't, right? And sometimes people might have different plans for you and you just don't fully understand it because you're only seeing one side of them. I love this. Random camera angle jump scare. Yeah. So the reason I'm getting at this is like, you know, a lot of people are entertained by like the silliness and goofiness and stuff like that. But from what we've seen of Dazai, right, and the best way I can put it is, yes, this might be either their routine or they're just really bad actors. And they know how to get what they want and their reactions to get what they want. This is great.
爆弾魔。
なんだ。探偵社はこのビルの4階だが。
いや、そういうことじゃなくて。
念のために階段で行こう。
ですね。
静かに。
すいません。
行くよ、淳君。
はい。嫌だ。
Kana, no worries. Have a good night.
全部お前らのせいだ。武装探偵社が悪いんだ。社長はどこだ。早く社長を出せ。でないと爆弾でみんな吹き飛んで死んじゃうよ。
怨恨か。面倒なタイプだね。
ですね。
静かに。
すいません。
行くよ、淳君。
はい。
嫌だ。もう嫌だ。
So you're telling me
全部お前らのせいだ。武装探偵社が悪いんだ。社長はどこだ。武装探偵社が悪い。
There's a couple things that this is telling me. Number one, a bomber comes into the. Can you guess why? This is fake. Can you guess why? It has to be. It has to be. Unless it's anime logic, but it has to be. What's up, I'm bad? No one? No one can guesstimate? Yeah, how did the bomb get past security? One of them, right? Everyone at the agency supposedly has some sort of power, so why did no one stop him? There's another one, environmental clue, that's being highlighted to me as I click my glasses on. That brings everything into view. How's everything so neat if someone has a bomb? Or someone comes in and threatens? Files, notebooks, coffee, everything's still perfectly in place, as though no one freaked out. No chairs are disorganized or like they rushed to get out of space. In fact, they left everything perfectly in order. If there was a bomb, you'd expect... Oh, you're right. Yep. You'd expect chairs to be thrown down or moved to, like, in a complete mess, or people rushing. When people rush or people are in a fight or flight aspect, they make mistakes, and their environment showcases those mistakes. This is too clean.
社長はどこだ。早く社長を出せ。でないと爆弾でみんな吹き飛んで死んじゃうよ。
怨恨か。面倒なタイプだね。
ああ、僕はなぜここ。
Also, him leaving the bomb exposed like that in a way where anybody can get it, being in front of the desk instead of, like, somewhere where he can take cover next to a window, which would get, like, if there was a sniper or someone available that could take him out, and the hostage up front, which again could cause turmoil if they stood up and they shook or whatever. It's leaving this individual in a pretty bad position, overall.
爆弾でみんな吹き飛んで死んじゃうよ。
怨恨か。面倒なタイプだね。
ああ、僕はなぜここにいるんだ。
Why am I here?
犯人はよほど探偵社に怒り心頭らしい。
役に立ちそうもないので帰っていいですか。
うちはいろんなところから恨みを買うからね。
無視
You're
ですか。
ignoring me?
それにあれ、高性能爆薬だよ。犯人の言う通りあれが爆発したら、このフロアぐらい吹き飛ぶね。
そんな。
爆弾に何かを覆いかぶせれば、ある程度は爆風を抑えられるかもしれないが。
If we can find something to cover the bomb. Here's the thing, Foranoda. You just said no one said that bombers make rational decisions, but yet they were able to go out and create a high-tech explosive and know that they're going to be in a stressful situation and environment and take a hostage in whatever short period of time. Not only that, you're telling me that they didn't evacuate the whole building from this bomber situation here. Both of them giving context and putting pressure on Atsushi to make a choice. Oh my goodness. They really were priming him. Dazai was really priming him from the very beginning. Dazai was like, hey, you know what? I was on death's door, but you saved me. And how does that make you feel? Like, all of this aspects of, like, only you can do it. Like, oh my God. Oh my God. Dazai was priming him from the very beginning to make a choice. And not only that he's the only one that can make a choice. What the fuck is this anime? What the fuck is this anime? This is fucking peak. Wait a minute. The writing literally is pushing. And most people, maybe if you're just like watching this anime by itself, right? Like not fully paying it, like analyzing it or like, having my background, you'd be like, oh my God, right? But I'm taking this and what I'm seeing is like literally Dazai finding a way to like prime Atsushi in his choices so that he can start taking proactive decisions, and Kunikita being a part of it, and both of them sort of navigating and like putting pressure in the right ways that makes oh yeah, welcome on through, Namina.
合わせてあげたな社長に。
殺そうとするに決まってるだろ。そんなところにむざむざと社長を出せるか。出張中でよかった。
となると方法は一つ。
異能力を使うのか。
おい落ち着け少年。
来るな。社長以外に用はない。妙な素振りを見せたら吹き飛ばすよ。
分かった。
知ってるぞ。あんたは国木田だ。僕を油断させてあの嫌味な異能力を使うつもりだろう。そうはいかないぞ。机の上に四つん這いになり両手を見えるところに置け。
あ
になり両手を見えるところに置け。
あ
言う通りにしないとみんな道連れだぞ。
まずいな。探偵社に支援をも。
おい落ち着け少。
That girl's gonna be in on it too. First off, phenomenal actors, but that girl has got to be in on it too. You might be like, Ed, why are you overcooking? What if they actually are bombers and shit? I'm just like insanely wrong, and I can be. I usually am, you know, whenever it comes to stuff like this. But here, I'll show you my thought process. This is the polyvagal theory, i.e. fight, flight, freeze, fawn, flop, activate. Up and down we go. Rage, anger, fear, anxiety, whatnot. Usually in a state like that, we are not grounded. We are not in the green. We're usually in the yellow to red at any point in time. Someone has a bomb and is approaching the individual that has the bomb. Wouldn't you react? Small little shifts, small little cue, small little something, but yet they don't. In fact, they only play it up whenever this individual grabs them.
卑劣な。
あの女の子は。
彼女は直美ちゃん、バイトの事務員さんだ。
バイトさん。それじゃあ完全にとばっちりじゃないですか。
どうする。
能力を使うのか。
I thought it was there. It might have been a little earlier.
と探偵社に怒り浸透らしい。
役に立ちそうもないので帰っていいですか。
それにあれ、こんればこの状況じゃあね。しかも女性を人質に取るとは卑劣な。
バイトさん。それじゃあ完全にとばっちり。
社を出す方は
人以外に用はない。妙な素振り。
Like anybody getting that, you think that they'd want to save on animation because there's no guarantee that the show would be a big success. But my counter to that, Fora, is they've been nitpicky about every single line of dialogue so far and character interactions, like nonverbal communication so far. Like to the point where the first scene really had a lot of nonverbal communication that was being highlighted. So why would they stop that on episode 2?
振りを見せたら吹き飛ばすよ。
分かった。
知ってるぞ。あんたは国木田だ。僕を油断させてあの嫌味な異能力を使うつもりだろう。
Use that ability of yours.
そういかないぞ。机の上に四つん這いになり両手を見えるところに置け。
あ
言う通りにしないと。みんな道連れだぞ。
He looks so annoyed at that, like, great.
まずいな。探偵社に支援を持つだけあって、奴は社員の顔と名前を把握している。 これでは社員の私が言っても彼を刺激するだけだ。
So of course they're gonna leave it to Atsushi. Does he take the chance?
さて
That's fucking
どう
peak.
したものか。
今なんか猛烈に嫌な予感が。
嫌です。
まだ何も言ってないよ。
言われなくてもわかります。
聞いてくれ。
Yep.
淳君、
Yep.
社員ではなく犯人に面が割れていないのは君だけだ。
でも僕が言っても何もできませんよ。
少しの間犯人の気をそらしてくれればいい。あとは我々がやるから。そうだな、君なら相手の意表をつくようなダメ人間の演技でもして
How about you put on it
と
off?
いうのはどうだろう。はい、小道具。信用したまえ。この程度の揉め事、我々武装探偵社にとっては朝飯前だよ、淳君。
And these girls on the side, right? You're telling me that they didn't exit, and they're very intrigued by everything going on here. If they had a bomb, they already took a hostage. I'd be finding my nearest way out. You know, like I ain't staying around. Anyway, oh, this show is so good. Y'all know that we're like 2 hours in. Y'all know that we're like 2 hours into this episode. We still have 10 minutes left. It's a 23-minute show. Ah!
やめなさい。こんなことして何になる。きっと親御さんも泣いてるよ。
なんだあんた。
ごめんなさい。
あんた探偵社の人間じゃないな。
見ての通り通りすがりの新聞配達です。
新聞配達の人が何の用だ。
いくら憎いからって人質とか爆弾とか良くないよ。生きていればきっといいことがある。
いいことって。だからいいことって何？
Did you even think that through? No. Wait a minute.
茶漬けが食える。茶漬けが腹いっぱい食える。天井があるところで寝られる。寝て起きたら朝が来る。当たり前のように朝が来る。でも爆発したら君にも僕にも朝は来ない。
Oh
な
God.
ぜなら死んじゃうから。
そんなこと分かってる。
いやー、やめた方がいいと思うけどな。だって死んじゃったら死んじゃうんだよ。
Oh
そりゃ
God.
死にたくなることだってあると思うよ。でも辛くても生きてる人だって。ほら、例えば僕、家族も友達もいなくて孤児院さえ追い出され、行く場所も生きる希望もない。その上
Yeah, like, did you guys know that people die when they are killed? Like, you know, a lot of that's the thing, is a lot of individuals don't know that there's many different forms of death, right? Ego death. There's the aspect of like losing yourself, right? Like your work, you know, people die when they're killed. Yes, exactly.
虎に変
Tanuki.
身しちゃうし。ああ、そうですよ。確かに僕はあなたの言う通り取り立てて長所もなく誰が見ても社会のゴミだけど、そんでもやけにならずに生きてるんだ。
いいぞ淳君、演技を超えた素晴らしいダメに。
That's what art form.
だからそんな爆弾なんか捨てて一緒に仕事探そうね。
いや、僕は別に仕事を探してるわけでは。今だ国木田君。
分かっている。異能力ドッポ銀閣ファイヤーガン。
確保だ国木田君。
だから分かっとるわ。
一丁上がり。はいはい、皆さんお疲れ様。はあ、
何が一丁上がりだ。
One down, you say.
今だとか各方とか口で言ってるだけで全然働いてないではないか。
しょうがないよ。だって国木田君はじゃんけんで負けたんだから。まあまあ事件は解決したのだから細かいことはいいじゃないか。あまり神経質になりすぎるとシワが増えて老化が急速に進むそうだよ。
それは本当か。
What did that teach Atsushi-kun?
ほらメモメモ。
神経質すぎると老化が
嘘だけど
さあ人を愚弄するのもいい加減にせんか。
お前もな、しまったバカにしやがって。ほんと
Exactly what I thought. I was about to say it didn't, like, you know, in an element like this, you're telling me that they would get careless, this careless in an environment like this? I'm looking at them and I'm like, you know, they start playing up the jokes and the ante on here.
嘘だけど
These guys, absolutely, yeah.
しまったバカにしやがって。ほんと
異能力者ってやつら。
Didn't Dazai say this earlier? This is fucking peak. Dazai said this at the very beginning of the episode. He was talking to Atsushi about this, right? Anyone gifted with supernatural powers has something wrong with them inside, i.e. alluding that Atsushi has to come in and be the savior, and i.e. use his powers to go ahead and get out of the situation.
どこか心がいびつだ。
Oh, the timer didn't even...
爆発。国木田さん。どうする。爆弾に何かを覆いかぶせれば。
Yep, yep. You had something to cover it.
何かかぶせるもの。何かないか。アツスク。あれ、僕は何。
He's reacting. Fucking awesome. That's so cool. He's doing the Steve Rogers thing. He doesn't understand why, but he's been programmed. That is so fucking cool. From secondhand embarrassment, did you? No, that is so fucking, like, neat. A lot of people might not understand, like, oh, it's just, you know, him stepping up or whatnot. And it's like, yeah, that might be part of it, but at the same time, everything's been layered so perfectly to see the aspects of a man, where it's like the aspects of an individual, where if his true nature were to run away, he would have ran away a long time ago, right? But in an essence like this, Dazai really highlighted, like, you know what, like, you're an individual. I called everyone else around, you know, and as I went earlier talking about, like, hey, you clearly know, you know, you can clearly save someone from life or death. You know what's the right thing to do. All of the pre-programming things, the aspects that Dazai was slowly layering into this point, where all of a sudden he just reacts, right? And he's like, he hasn't even processed it. Like, why am I doing this? Well, hey, yo!
やれやれ。
Look at Dazai's face. Look at fucking Dazai's face. Look at their face. Look at Dazai's face. He's so proud. He's like, I fucking knew it. No, was this the fuck? No, was this the test? No, that's horrible. Holy fuck, there is no overcooking with this anime. There is no fucking overcooking with this anime. What the
バ
fuck?
カとは思っ
Ah!
彼には
No.
自殺マニアの才能があるよそうは思わないかい谷崎くん
ごめんね。大丈夫だった？
What? No.
マリー様大丈夫でしたか？マリオ兄さんもすっごく素敵でしたわ。
Now it's all clicking together. It's all clicking together. The clean desk, everything, how they were reacting.
縛られて脅されて私も
At the time of my life being tied up and threatened. Oh
たま
no.
りませんでした。家に帰ったら続きをしてください。
Hey, yo.
バイトさんもグルってことですか？
小僧恨むなら太宰を恨めさもなくば仕事斡旋人を間違えた己を恨め
ってことはこれって
言っただろちょっとした試験があるって
つまり入社試験？
What I tell you guys, the way to view this anime is not just to turn off your brain and go into it. It's like through a criminal psychology aspect of understanding like manipulation tactics. That's how I'm viewing this anime. It's like approaching it, of course, with my standard like attachment psychology specialization, you know, all of that, but also with the criminal psychology lens of like, okay, what's a foot in the door, right? How are we layering parataxic distortions, right? What does propinquity look like between these characters? How they're establishing these bonds and like not, right? And then what is being layered out there? Put you into a high stakes situation to test your capacity as an individual. But he had already tested your capacity as an individual at the beginning of the day. Design knows you, still tests you, and still programs you, and still talks to you. Because ultimately the choice is still his to make, but everything's been layered out. Also, this guitar just shredding in the background. Why is it gotta be this fucking epic? What the fuck? Just the guy's just going.
中島
腰からポッケに二つ折りになるところだった。
他の同僚の方に助けを求めなかったのですか？
電話したよ。死にそうなんだけどって。そしたらみんな口を揃えておめでとうございます。
What the fuck? Legitimately laid everything. Yeah, absolute fucking cinema. Wow. Guess I gotta back it up around here.
探偵社にようこそ、中島敦くん。
おめでとうございます。
Like, I'm sorry, I love an anime that does this, and I bet you, like, how many people actually caught on to this your first time watching this? That's my real question to everyone on YouTube. Did y'all catch this the first time, like how everything was layered out this way, or was it like a huge surprise for you that this was all a test? I didn't. And I'm not trying to be like, oh, she's so smart, you know, because I'm not. Like, don't get me wrong, right? You just have to understand my specialization has always been understanding mind and behaviors, right? That's the main aspect of things, is understanding conceptual. Or something that might burn you in the long run. Oh,
でもまあ、君が断るなら無理強いはできない。しかしそうなると私は君の今後が心配でならない。まずは社員料を引き払わなくてはならないし、君のようにこれといった特技もなく、しかも友達も知り合いもいない者が仕事を探すのはさぞかし大変だ。それに君はお尋ね者の虎だからな。それが知れたらどんな仕事もよくてクビ。悪ければ捕まって射殺だろうな。
射殺？
この探偵社なら話は別だけど。
If you already knew the answer, Dazai, why make him go through this test? Like, Dazai, yeah, you bastard. You didn't have to put on it all, like, oh.
それってつまり。
よろしくお願いします。
There was no choice.
お兄様。
規則は守れよ、小僧。
Just follow the
じゃあ
rules, Brad.
そういうことだ。
Oh.
そんな。
That was a fantastic episode. That was a fantastic episode. I think episode 1, the tactics used, right? Well, also this. There was a couple things in here that I thought was pretty cool. And I'm just gonna back it up to 1 real quick, that a lot of people might not even see. So you're telling me that these guys that are able to go ahead and deal with them, right? What do they do? What are they doing here? That we're able to deal with such a big threat of the tiger here. Now that we have full context, they're meeting him at his level, right? Of course, they're making it look realistic, but they're keeping this aspect of like you and meeting him at this level, and you know, they're all kind of aligned in this way, which is beautiful, right? It's as though like, hey, he's gonna go, you're up next, he's at the very end, just to ensure it. Like even the small little like photography aspects of things is powerful. It's nice. All right, let's continue, shall we? Oh. Weird question, but I gotta ask. Is there a lot of shipping in this anime? Like, do people have a lot of interesting ships? Not necessarily based in reality, but just in general. Because I'm looking at some of these endings and I'm like, I can see some people pushing for some very interesting. Oh, you have no idea. Of course. Yes. Wow. Wow. Oh, hell yeah. Is it? Shipping code didn't even, yeah. Oh, the white inside of it. This is such an amazing ending song too. I don't think there's a lot of shipping between Dazai and Atsushi, if that's what you're thinking. No, I'm just talking about characters in general. I see more like Dazai and Atsushi like mentor and student, like teacher student relationship. I'm just talking about this show in general because I'm seeing like how boundaries may be crossed from time to time. Fucking peak, everyone. Fucking peak, With that being said, what would you guys rate this episode out of 10? And everything, you have no idea. I'm kind of scared. Why am I kind of scared? Why am I kind of scared that I'm opening up Pandora's box and I don't even fully understand what's in Pandora's box, Yes, preview. Okay, I stopped the preview. So for me, this honestly, the way that it was layered is fantastic. Like a 9.5 out of 10. The way everything was layered from the very beginning to the end was not a lot of anime can do that or do that nowadays, right? Do that nowadays. A lot of phenomenal writing. That's the way that good writing is usually done as well, right? Especially if you look at older styles of writing, they found ways to incorporate the beginning at the end and the end at the beginning in very insightful ways in the chapters or so on and so forth, in ways that doesn't feel heavy-handed. And I think for a lot of people that watch this show, yeah, the episode went by really quickly. For a lot of people that watch this show, they probably just took it on, were like, brain turned off and enjoyed the heck out of it, right? But if you stayed and you analyze it, you're like, wait a minute, oh my god, like everything's so interwoven, like in such a beautiful way that it's like boom, poof, right? Like it has its effects, and if you understand the beginning, you'll understand the ending, and that's what makes some good character. And also, what's interesting is, guess what? We as humans do this as well. Sometimes we'll make the same mistake in multiple ways, right? At the very beginning of an aspect of a tribulation and at the very end. But the most important thing is the journey between. There's a saying in therapy and in psychology that we, like, for example, we will never pick up 100% on everything that is being said, right? Like, we can be in session for the hour or 2 hours or however long, right? And unfortunately, I can't retain 1 hour or 2 hours worth of information in my brain for everything. But if something's important to you, you'll bring it up more than once. In fact, oftentimes it's 3 times, right? For me, it literally saved me with the characters are so well written, and I think it's so impactful. And I guess the question I have for you guys in YouTube is, has this story, this anime, this manga, light novel, whatever, saved your life or changed your life in any capacity? And if so, how? Right? Yeah, that's what makes this absolutely peak. I absolutely love it. This is great. Like, solid episode 2, solid episode 1. This has been an amazing first couple of episodes, and I don't think it's missed so far. Of course, I don't have the knowledge that you guys have for light novels, manga, whatnot. And I'm not, unfortunately, don't have the time to really dig in deep into those. So I'm just going off of the anime itself, which is so far it's impressed me. It's done a lot. If I'm also being programmed on a daily basis and don't even notice it, honestly, a lot of times we are. In fact, one of the easiest ones to do it. Here, I'll bring this up. Chat. What's a sound equated with this that will immediately make you think of a soda? You know, like the foam, the fizz coming out when you crack a cold one. Like a lot of individuals, like the instant you hear that, the popping sound immediately programs. It's immediately been programmed into our brain, right? That it's a soda. Yep. It's kind of crazy how small little things have become so normed in our brains that we, like, you know, on everyday little things. Like, here's a big one. Y'all ready for this one? Here's an easy one. Easy one. Oh, why isn't it ringing? Hold on. Give me 1 second here. Okay. I immediately started salivating it. Now I want, yeah, exactly. We've been programmed by the smallest of sounds, by you know, soda, like, you know, popping, by opening up a pack, by McDonald's logos, by so many little things that they've been normed inside of our brain. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous how much things out, like how many things out there have been programmed, right? And how we've just normalized it. Ultimately, we've normalized it as a part of our life. Are people? Yeah. Well, people are actually exactly. Well, sometimes that comes with hobbies and routines, and you know, there's a really good number of books out there. To help you out. One of those books that I'd suggest is Atomic Habits. Not sure if you guys heard that, but the alarm for like iPhone phone went off. You know, and for a lot of people, that's immediately like, ugh, now I have to go to work, right? Or ugh, you know, it's we program emotions into sounds and feelings and even cuts. Why do you think I say a lot of times media literacy is dead? Because unfortunately, our brains in corporations and people have now programmed it where short formats are the only way to go, or where reaction content has to be so cut up where anything analytical in the way we do things is too much for them, boring, too long, so on and so forth, right? Because unfortunately, people have programmed themselves that short form content is the only way to go, and that's the only way that's real. Anyway, with that being said, unless there's anything else I need to add, I hope you all enjoyed this episode here. I hope that all of you seriously enjoyed the analysis on this episode, because for me, this was awesome. This is phenomenal. And I hope that this made your whatever day this comes out in a little bit easier, a little bit better, and you guys like the analysis inside of it all together. I personally am finding a lot of fun tackling these shows, this show in particular, with the analytical mind space of it, which is ultimately like, let's break it down here, let's understand it this way, and let's see how this all plays in together, and seeing how people use one another to try and, you know, push each other either positively, and in some aspects it kind of scares me, which makes me wonder, has Dazai used it negatively? You know, there's a lot of wonderful questions, but to my Bungo Stray Dog fans and individuals out there that enjoy the content, please make sure to go ahead and leave a like on this video. comment, subscribe, all of that ordeal. Share this video around, especially to the communities. Unfortunately, I don't really use Reddit or whatnot, so if y'all can share that around, that'd mean the world. I'd love to go ahead and have an open discussion the way that we had one today over the characters, the themes, all of that stuff. And of course, if you guys can go ahead and help support over on the Kofi, as I mentioned, I do have my brother out helping him out, and it's been quite a bit. So if y'all can go ahead and show some love and support over on the Kofi, it would mean the world as well, or YouTube or Twitch, wherever really. But thank you all so much. We should have Rain on probably next time or whenever possible, because I know that they're working on a project, or they're supposed to be working on their homework. But y'all are absolutely amazing. Please have a phenomenal night. Practice some self-care, and if you ever need any help or support, or you need a message to go find some help or support, know that this is that sign. There's no shame in asking for help or finding help for yourself. Please know that, like, if you're like, oh well, I don't know if I should be here tomorrow, definitely be here tomorrow. Don't take your life if you're ever in a dark space like this. We're all here for you, and ultimately you are a valuable person in society. And I say this because I've lost many of friends who all they needed was one more day, one more night, and so I highlight this. It's like, hey, tomorrow will come, and I hope that you're still here with us. So thank you all. Have a fantastic night. Practice that self-care, everyone. And it is 3 a.m. for me, so I'm gonna go knock out because I have another stream in a couple of hours. So have a phenomenal night, everyone. Arigato gozaimasu. Thank you so much, and please leave a comment. I'll see you guys later. Bye. Thank you so much.